Hi everyone, welcome to the channel Sluggers Brew for your CAT PRC preparation. In today's session, we'll be taking up the fifth and final RC of the culture and social sciences genre. And this RC was asked in your CAT exam in the year 2017 in the first lot. And I've titled the RC as The End of Malls, question mark. 522 words, 6 questions. This is the first part of your session where I take you through the passage in detail. Okay, in the next part, I'll be taking you through the questions. Now, for those of you who might be watching this session for the first time, know that the session is split into two parts. Part one, which is the passage explainer, where I take you through each and every paragraph of the passage and explain it in detail by the use of a schematic diagram. And part two is where I take you through the questions. The current video is part one. What you're watching right now is every session has two videos. This video is part one. And 40 such sessions make up a course that I've titled as an anthology of RCs for your reading comprehension preparation for the CAT. So, and those of you who have not watched the intro video and you are interested to know the details of the course, you can watch the intro video of this course by clicking on a cue card on the top right side of your screen. There should be, you should be able to see a letter I there, and if you click on that, it will show you the thumbnail of the intro video, which you can click and well, check out the details of the course. All right, so let's jump into the passage explainer now. Okay, so now guys, this is the passage explainer part of the video. Your passage explainer screen, your current screen is split into two parts. On the left side is where we'll have the passage, as you can see here, and on the right side is where we'll have the schematic diagrams. Now, the way we'll go about this is that I'll read and explain the passage paragraph by paragraph as the schematic diagram simultaneously appears on the right. Okay, post reading every paragraph, I'll explain the same in detail by the use of the schematic diagram that will have appeared by that time, and then move on to the next paragraph. All right, so let's start with the first paragraph. Okay, so let's start with the first paragraph. It says this year alone, more than 8,600 stores could close, according to industry estimates, many of them the brand name anchor outlets that real estate developers once stumbled over themselves to quote. Already there have been 5,300 retail closings this year. Sears Holdings, which owns Kmart, said in March that there's substantial doubt it can stay in business altogether and will close 300 stores this year. So far this year, 9 national retail chains have filed for bankruptcy. So guys, that's the reading for your first paragraph. Because more or less what the author has done in this paragraph is he has provided some numbers, statistics about how the retail stores are closing these days, most of them, so many of them. And then he provides a series of examples, the anchor example, then Spears holding case, and then also provides information in terms of how 9 national retail chains have already filed for bankruptcy. So he has more or less pointed out the bleak scenario of so far as brick and mortar retail stores are concerned. And right, so that's what is done in this first paragraph. Let's just go through the examples just very quickly one by one. So the first one says, this year alone, more than 8,600 stores could close, according to industry estimates, and many of them are the brand name anchor outlets. Many of these stores that are going to close, that could close, are brand name anchor outlets, which earlier real estate developers used to be quite eager to quote and quite eager to have them open their shops in their malls and in their real estates, basically, right? So that's what this sentence means, that many of these stores that could close are ironically the same stores that real estate developers earlier stumbled over themselves to quote. That means they used to be quite eager. It's kind of an idiom here, okay, which means that they used to be quite eager to have anchor outlets open in their real estates. But now the same anchor outlets are, about to be closed. As the first example, next he talks about Sears Holding, which owns Kmart, said in March that there's a substantial doubt that it can stay in business altogether. So again, which exemplifies the same bleak scenario of the retail sector, uh, brick and mortar retail sector here, and will close 300 stores this year. So, and the third one, finally, he just points out how 9 national retail chains have already filed for bankruptcy. So pretty straightforward actually for the first paragraph. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Okay, so coming to paragraph number 2. Local jobs are a major casualty of what analysts are calling, with only a hint of hyperbole, the retail apocalypse. Since 2002, department stores have lost 448,000 jobs, a 25% decline, while the number of stores closed the number of store closures this year is on pace to surpass the worst dips of the Great Recession. The growth of online retailers, meanwhile, has failed to offset those losses, with the e-commerce sector adding just 178,000 jobs over the past 15 years. Some of those jobs can be found in the massive distribution centers Amazon has opened across the country, often not too far from malls the company held shutter. That's the reading of your second paragraph. Okay, so in the second paragraph, see guys, in the first paragraph, the author's focus was to set up a backdrop where and talk about and inform the reader about the retail apocalypse, there's the large number of stores which have been closing down. And in the second paragraph, his focus shifts towards the kind of impact that this retail apocalypse has had on the jobs, right? And how so many jobs have been lost since 2002, and then the decline in jobs still continues, and at such a pace that it might just surpass the worst depths of the Great Recession that had happened that the world had gone through in the 20th century, right? He compares it to that, then he also makes a point that there has been an addition in jobs in the online retail sector, but the addition or the increase in jobs in that sector has not been substantial enough to offset the overall decline in jobs, right, due to the stores being shut down. And then finally, at the end, he presents an interesting irony that where he says that the new jobs that are being created by the online sector, by the online retail e-commerce sector, for example, uh, like can be found in the massive distribution centers that Amazon has opened across the country. And these are the same distribution centers which have also helped, shut down the stores and malls, due to which so many jobs have been lost. So there's a sense of irony that the author has tried to project here. Okay, so yeah, so all in all, the second paragraph has been about the author examining the impact of this retail apocalypse on jobs per se. Okay, so let's move on to the next paragraph. Okay, coming to paragraph number 3. But those are workplaces, not gathering places. Guys, by the word those, the author refers to the massive distribution centers of Amazon that he has talked about in the last paragraph. He says, but those are workplaces, not gathering places. The mall is both. And in the nine in the under 61 and in the 61 years since the first enclosed one opened in suburban Minneapolis, the shopping mall has been where a huge swath of middle class America went for far more than shopping. It was the home of first jobs and blind dates, the place for family photos and ear piercings, where goths and grandmothers could somehow walk through the same doors and find something they all liked. Sure, the food was lousy for you, and the oceans of parking lots encouraged car heavy development, uh, something now scorned by contemporary planners. But for better or worse, the mall has been America's public square for the last 60 years. So that's your reading of the third paragraph. Okay, so what the author has done in this in third paragraph is now his focus in the first paragraph was about how retail stores are closing down, and the second paragraph his focus changed to how that is having an impact on jobs, and now his third paragraph is related to uh, what was the utility of the mall, which is now on the brink of being closed down as a concept, right? He says that like as compared to the Amazon distribution centers which have replaced the stores in the malls, uh, the mall is both a workplace as well as a gathering place, right? The Amazon distribution centers are just a workplace, but the mall has more value and utility here, more social value involved here. That it is also workplace and the gathering place, and it has been for the last 61 years a place where the middle class of America would. The passage has been written in American context, so where the middle class, a huge swath of middle class America would go for far more than shopping, right? So the purpose served by the malls was not just shopping; it has also served all kinds of uh, different purposes, such as like it would be a place for first jobs, blind dates, place for family photos. So there was a lot of social and cultural value that was associated with the mall, apart from the economic value and the shopping value that it offered, shopping experience that it offered. So there was a lot of he talks about he's gone into quite some detail with respect to that point. He says a place for family photos and ear piercings where goths and grandmothers could somehow like people who would normally be considered so different, right? Cohorts of audiences that will be normally be considered so different in their tastes could somehow walk through the same doors and find something they all liked. Sure, he also notes some of the negatives, but in a not very objectionable manner. He says that yes, the food was lousy, and the car parking has created other types of problems for the contemporary planners, but for better or worse. But however that might have been, but for better or worse, the mall has definitely been the public square in a sense of America for the last 60 years. Okay, so if we want to sum up what the author has done in this paragraph is, we can simply say that the author has talked about the social and cultural utility of malls, the contemporary social and cultural utility of malls in this paragraph. Okay, so yeah, that's about this paragraph. Let's move on to the next one. So let's begin with the next set of paragraphs. So what happens when it disappears? So again, when by the pronoun it, the author refers to the mall, right? So what happens when the mall disappears? Think of your mall, or think of the one you went to as a kid. Think of the perfume clouds in the department stores, the fountains splashing below the skylights, the cinnamon wafting from the food court. As far back as ancient Greece, societies have congregated around the central marketplace. In medieval Europe, they were outside cathedrals. For half of the 20th century and almost 20 years into the new one, much of America has found their agora on the terrazzo between Orange Julius and and Barrow, Wallenbrooks and the Gap, Sunglass Hut and Hot Topic. All of these guys are basically references to various stores in the mall, right? And agora basically is a term for marketplace. Next, that mall was an ecosystem unto itself, a combination of community and commercialism, peddling everything you needed and everything you did. Magic eye posters, wind catchers, Air Jordans, and so on and so forth. So that is the reading of your fourth and fifth paragraph. And this paragraph, a set of paragraphs rather, the author has basically, again, he has further explored the culture and social utility of the malls. But in this case, it has not been contemporary directly. He has in fact gone into the history and noted how in ancient Greece people used to congregate around the marketplace, and in medieval Europe it was the cathedral that served as the purpose of a gathering place. And in case of America, in the last since the last in the last for the second half of the 20th century and then the 20 years into the new one, people have been using the mall as a gathering place, right? And essentially, I think, and then most of it is quite straightforward. That these references that he has used here of these names, terrazzo between Orange Julius and Barrow and Wallen Books and the Gap, and these are basically, again, as I noted earlier, are basically references to the stores that you would usually be found in the mall, right? So for these, in ancient Greece, it was this. Medieval Europe, it was something else. And for America, so the last 70 odd years, it has been this, right? 70 comes from the half for the second half of the second for 20th century, and 20 years, almost 20 years into the new one. So yes, okay. So and also towards the end, he says that mall itself was an ecosystem. It was by itself an ecosystem unto itself, a combination of community as well as commercialism. Okay, where peddling everything you needed and everything you didn't. Magic, eye posters, wind catchers, Air Jordans, etc. So that's your fourth paragraph. So see, guys, please also keep an eye on this backdrop. This is basically where we note how the author has structured the passage. He first starts with the very initial backdrop, like he talks about the retail stores closing down. Then he talks about how that is having an impact on the jobs, and then his focus has totally changed towards the social and cultural utility of the mall, because the malls will be closing down with the retail stores, of course. So there's a lot to lose here. So he talks about the social and cultural utility of the malls in the contemporary sense, and then he talks about the same social and cultural utility of malls, the historical from a historical point of view. Okay, and then so that's how far we have gone till now. Okay, let's move on to the next one. The last paragraph. A growing number of Americans, however, don't see the need to go to any Macy's at all. Our digital lives are frictionless and ruthlessly efficient, with retail and romance available at a click. Malls were designed for leisure, abundance, ambling. You parked and planned to spend some time. Today, much of that time has been given over to busier lives and second jobs and apps that let you swipe right instead of haunt the food court. Malls, says Harvard business professor Leonard Schlesinger, were built for patterns that for patterns of social interaction that increasingly don't exist. Okay, so guys, that was your reading for the last paragraph. Okay, so guys, in the last paragraph, the author has brought in a new idea here, and the idea is that well, these days, the lives of people, the digital lives of people have become so frictionless and ruthlessly efficient that well, they don't feel the need to go to the mall. Everything that they need, be it retail, be it romance, everything is available at just a click, right? So one factor is that the need for going to malls has been obviated, has been eliminated, and the other factor he has pointed out here is that and over and above that, they also don't have any time available to go and take a leisurely walk around the mall, do window shopping and stuff, right? Because their lives have gotten so busy that their schedule is just taken up by second jobs and likely they're occupied throughout the time, and so whenever they might need something, they might have any kind of requirements, retail, romance, etc. They anyways that have that available at a click, right? Have that that can be addressed just by a click. So, and then he concludes by quoting Harvard's business professor who says that malls were built for patterns of social interactions that anyways don't exist these days. And hence, the final concept he's trying to, with which the author concludes the passage is that malls have become an outdated concept these days because one, there is no need for people to go to the malls, and two, they anyways don't have the time required to do so. Okay, so with that we come to the end of the passage. Okay, guys. So the central idea of the passage can be summarized in the following lines. Apart from their utility as a shopping venue and a workplace providing jobs, malls also have long served a socio-cultural purpose, which not being relevant anymore given the change in patterns of social interactions, they have been rendered redundant. Okay, so that's the central idea. Let's move on to the next part. Okay, guys, so now for those of you who have not attempted the questions so far, you can do so by clicking on the link given in the description of of the video, and it will take you to the link will take you to an interface where you can attempt the where you can read the passage as well as attempt the questions. And yeah, so that's about it so far as this video is concerned. Those of you who have not watched the intro video of the course, you can do so by clicking on the link here, and so do subscribe to the channel. I'll see you meanwhile in the next part where we discuss the questions of the passage. Okay.